That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Fairly alarmed here.
Welcome to MOTN Presents Random Select. This is Masters of the Nerdiverse X Random Select, where we choose 8 popular culture provinces and make them war against each other until there's only one sovereign nation. I'm, of course, your host, Mike G. And back with me is our also host, Winter Trash Monk III.
Howdy ho! This is Trash Monk the Third. Trash Monk, aye. That's Trash Monk, aye.
Combs.
Coming over to you live from the Trash Bunker.
Dude, I heard you guys store radioactive isotopes in the Trash Bunker. Is that fact or fiction?
Let's just say we have connections with Elon Musk.
Bastard. And with us always is our always friend of our movie reviews, Mr. Brian. How's it going, sir?
Yo, what up? Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me back. Glad to be here. Good night for a knife fight.
Good night for a knife fight. Dude, would you prefer like a machete or a samurai sword?
Dude, I'm taking a samurai sword every single solitary time.
You kind of have to know how to use that. You can accidentally jack yourself up with a samurai sword.
And what are you saying about a machete?
Machete is like a land weapon. You can just aim down and accomplish it.
Don't aim too far down. Don't follow through, man. It's just a
follow through.
Measure
like
twice, cut once.
Measure twice, cut once.
Measure twice, cut once, dude. I would kind of want one of those cool knives from Blood Hunters. You know the ones with the those bendy kind of bendy kind of Bowie knives, dog.
Oh, you mean the fake knives?
If they're no, they're like impalers, man. You stick them in, and then you bring them out. Haven't you ever seen that reality show? It was on, God, I don't know, maybe 7, 8, maybe a decade ago. They used to pit fighters against each other from like different.
Are you saying
Deadliest Warrior?
Deadliest freaking Warrior. It's amazing.
Are you saying the blade itself is bendy, or it actually bent like tinfoil?
It's a bent curve. It's like
okay, there we go.
It's not like a wobbly sword.
I'm like,
it's not
okay,
like made of some kind of weird alloy we haven't figured out yet.
Like, I'm pretty sure that was just a fake sword for the show, but
I'm pretty sure that was a Conan sword from Universal Studios you bought in the 80s. Yeah. Not an actual weapon of death. Okay, fair enough. Speaking of Universal Studios, they made a couple of comedies, I'm sure, right? Universal, they've had to make a comedy or two.
Blues Brothers 2000,
yeah, classic.
Ghostbusters with all women.
Ghostbusters. You have to pronounce it different. There's Ghostbusters and there's Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That's
it. Ghostbuster Rest, and then there's Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. You gotta say it. You gotta add that to it.
Yeah, Lady Ghostbusters.
We don't call it that.
Okay, sorry.
Because that's that's not our prerogative.
Well, you were saying Lady Cops before this, right?
When did I say Lady Cop once ever on the history of this channel?
Well, it was before we were recording.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I talk all types of crazy stuff when the audio's not rolling.
Uh-huh.
I have my opinions.
Yeah. And I keep saying, save it for recording. But you're like, no, I got to get it out of my chest.
I just need to get it out now before we actually hit the record button. Because if I slip, oh no. Speaking of opinions, we have 2 classics that Brian is uncomfortably quiet during this whole bit. I know nothing.
I got nothing for you, man.
I got nothing. My name is Paul, and that's between y'all.
Oh.
Speaking of opinions, we have to choose between two comedy icons, dude. 2 powerhouses.
2 absolute film classics in the pantheon of film.
Of comedies.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? I'm here for it. This is why we do it. A little bit of random select, a little bit of knife fight, hashtag hard cuts. And I think that this one's going to be, might be close.
It's going to be a doozy. Hashtag hard cuts. You know what I'm saying? Those cuts that you cut in and then you slice down like you're cutting sweet potato pie. Grandnana's pumpkin pie.
Man,
but it's a human stomach.
MOTN food every single time.
It's going to happen eventually.
Food, man.
Out of these two movies that actually made it out of their...
Just for the record, last week I slow cooked 5 pounds of chicken breast in taco seasoning, homemade taco seasoning. And had that slow cooked for about 8 hours, man, and I had tacos for 4 days. It was absolutely fantastic.
You didn't use Lawry's branded.
I got nothing against Lowry's, but
Lowry's.
a friend of mine made some taco seasoning once. It's a
How about Pappy's?
I do.
TM, all right.
I don't know about Pappy's, but I do use some Ortega every once in a while. Anything done.
I like it.
Always the spicy though. You got
Just like the way Mama used to make in the home country.
I wish I had family in the home country.
I got him to laugh.
Got him to laugh. You know what else got Brian to laugh? Was Young Frankenstein from 1974, directed by Mel Brooks. You laughed once in that movie, right? What was the count for Young Frankenstein? Like 3? You got three chuckles?
Young Frankenstein was three chuckles.
3
and
3 guffaws.
Could you tell us which 3 scenes?
One scene is the other half of my teaser from last week when we spoke about the quote that has been going around in my head since I saw it, along with Stay Puft Marshmallow. And that quote is going to be, "What knockers?" Literally been saying it, had to have said it like 3,000 times since I watched this film.
Now, are you saying this to yourself, or are you saying it in social situations?
There are no social situations, Mike. Luckily, I don't have to worry about it.
Are you hanging out with people, Mike?
I am not social distancing.
Hey,
how many people have you seen? How many movies have you went to, Mike?
Dude, I've seen about 12.
There is some underground prohibition movie theaters that are open right now that I can't talk about. You know what I mean? Because I'll blow up the spot and I will be banned from all
kids.
the
We're not joking about this. Stay at home. Even though they said you can go out, stay at home.
Stay at home. Because you know that 5G radiation burns hot.
So, what knockers?
I know, like Mike G was just talking about how it's all a hoax before we were.
I'm just saying, too many cell phones that close to each other, problems are going to happen.
Calling it the Wuhan virus before.
Now you're cutting me to the quick, Trash Month.
Sorry, I just need to get it all out of the way.
It's the slow knife that cuts the deepest.
Hear this?
You hear that?
I had like three to cross off my list, and now we're done.
Okay, I'm happy that you got that out your system, and I've been properly vilified for the rest of the episode.
The second laugh was Walk This Way. And I don't remember what the third laugh was.
My favorite laugh of the movie is Walk This Way, and it's such a cheap laugh, but it really got the biggest laugh out of me in that movie. It's so dumb. It's so my kind of comedy.
It was so quick-witted, though. If it's your first viewing, it is very quick-witted, and your brain takes a quick second. You're like, wait, what? Oh, that's great.
Okay, I got it. It's like your brain is like on a kind of a hesitation with some of the last because it's just so fast. And of course, the Gene Hackman scene is like one of my favorite scenes in comedy. You know, he's
cigars,
fire good. Dude. This movie, would you say it was ahead of its time? In a way,
I think it was right for its time. Because you have lightning fast jokes going pop, 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 sort of thing. I think it's making fun of a movie that was for the time, so like people knew about Frankenstein, so the movie was still fresh, like Bride of Frankenstein, maybe. If
I don't
someone,
know.
yeah, let me do some fact checking real quick. See if how far apart Frankenstein and Young Frankenstein are.
No, Frankenstein was like 1931, or was that Dracula?
Okay,
I think
you're right.
Frankenstein was
Oh
1931.
You're right
yeah,
on
that's
that.
gonna be Boris Karloff, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was a little off. 1931,
That's-
1974. Okay,
Yeah.
we're just a little off.
Horror nerd, ladies and gentlemen. Horror nerd, ladies and gentlemen.
Good call.
Dude. And, it's always good to use these public domain characters. Like, anybody could write a Frankenstein story. But the problem with that is it's such a tired trope that it's so hard to break out. It's hard to write a 2020 Frankenstein movie.
Not a lot of people are looking for a Frankenstein movie. I mean, there was
Right?
there was one that was like playing to itself. Samuel Beam plays Frankenstein.
Oh, poor he was dead before he even got to the movie
Well,
started.
that's the gist of it. He dies in all his movies. This
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
he's already dead.
He started the movie dead, so there you go.
Frankenstein Chronicles, folks. Two
Dude,
seasons
Yeah, the
ahead.
Frankenstein Chronicles. I was gonna say I
Ah,
watch it, but I do remember seeing a ad for it, and I went, "Oh, well, that's neat," and that was it.
I've been seeing commercials for some brand new Frankenstein show or movie that stars Benadryl Cucumber. You know what I mean? And some other.
Oh man, Cumberbatch, don't do that,
I've seen pictures of it. It looks dumb.
bro.
It looks super dumb. Like two men.
Will
were
be in
dead.
the BBC.
Yeah, that's Benedict and
Who else is with them?
Professor Xavier, James McAvoy, isn't it?
I think so. I couldn't remember the name of the other guy. I recognize his face, but I couldn't remember. I couldn't put a name to the face. And
You're right. I forgot about that. Did that come out?
I don't know. I've been seeing it like on the periphery of like my Twitter timeline and things like that. I have no idea if it's going straight to Netflix or what's going on with it. I just, Young Frankenstein's been on my brain, so I kind of noticed it. I was like, what is this now? You're trying to bring Frankenstein back for the modern era, dog? You know what I mean? My favorite Frankenstein adaptation is probably Splice. You ever seen Splice? That freaking morbid ass movie
Have not seen Spliced.
with Nosy McNoserton. What's his name? He was in Predators. He was in The Piano. He's a dreamy dude with a
Splinter?
giant nose. I can't remember his name, but yeah, Splice is this crazy kind of
Splice.
this crazy Frankenstein for the 20th century, genetic splicing, creating life from nothing kind of movie, and it's really disturbing. But Young Frankenstein,
Adrian Brody.
thank you. I was going to go and say it if I didn't remember, but would you say that this is one of Gene Wilder's best roles ever?
Yeah. I mean,
Is it up there with like Willy Wonka and you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think it's up there with Blazing Saddles,
Blazing Saddles.
Willy Wonka.
Scared. Was it Scared? What was the one he did with?
Yeah,
See
you're
No
right.
Evil?
Scared Straight.
I was on that show once.
No, you weren't.
I was the dude yelling at everybody.
Oh, okay. Now that's believable.
I was the dude yelling at all the bad eggs. Yeah, it was
See no evil, hear no evil.
Yep, I was just gonna say where.
Nope.
Yeah.
The Frisco Kid was another fantastic film that he did. Just for the record, I absolutely cannot stand Willy Wonka.
Really?
Hate me. Send me the tweets. I don't care.
Well, you don't
send
like
him-
Fancy and Wonder, so it makes perfect sense.
No, man, Never Ending Story's fantastic.
Oh, fair. That's full of Fancy and Wonder.
Yeah.
Willy
get a little heavy,
Wonka's
buddy.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
We're going down.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of his iconic roles, isn't it, Winter?
Oh yeah, like I would like the three that I mentioned. I mean, Willy Wonka is the number one iconic role I think for Gene Wilder. Anyone who thinks of Gene Wilder, they probably think of the purple suit type dude.
Yep. Top hat.
Yeah, the second one I would have to go with Blazing Saddles,
Yeah.
just because that's a classic. Like, here, kids, let me show you this movie, and then the
Yeah,
parents
here,
realize
kids,
what
let's
really-
watch Blazing Saddles.
yeah. Then your parents realize how bad it is.
So that's in your fifth grade,
Yeah.
Boy Scout troop, dude. Like,
Yeah,
what? Get
and
out of
then
here.
the third one would be I would say Young Frankenstein. Like it's a good like reprieve from going, oh, Blazing Saddles was bad, but Young Frankenstein.
What's interesting about this movie is that it fools you because it's black and white, but technically Young Frankenstein is a then modern take, kind of modern take,
yeah,
on the Frankenstein story, because he's a descendant of Frankenstein. He's not necessarily Frankenstein himself. So it's kind of a pseudo-modern take because they yank him out of the present and throw him in Transylvania. So everything looks dated and old and gothic and classic. But in the beginning of the movie, he's teaching in a modern class. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
So it's kind of interesting, like what they did. I didn't really put that together till now. That that was a modern take back then. It just happened to do it in black and white to give that look. And are you guys a fan of colorizing black and whites? Other than like the Wizard of Oz, is there any good colored black and white movie?
I liked Night of the Living Dead in color when I saw it.
Okay,
but that was when I was young, and then I listened to Martin Scorsese talk about it, and now in order to fit in with the film community, I stand with Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, you bash all Marvel comics and comic book movies are for
real
kids.
Films.
They're not real films. They're candy. Yeah, man. And there's a couple of movies, and it kind of ties back into even video games now, like Ghost of Tsushima, where they're reversing it. Where like you have a movie like The Mist, where it was filmed in color, of course. And this is a very recent movie with Tom, forget his name, Tom Ironheart, something like that. He was the Punisher. But for the DVD, they actually had a chromatic black and white version of it, which made it even more creepier. So I kind of like the idea of them in the 70s saying, no, we're going to make this black and white. I know we don't have to, but we want to maintain some kind of spirit of the source material, which I think was kind of neat. I think the supporting cast in this movie is amazing. You know what I mean? Everybody hits their mark. There isn't any weak link, I would say.
Igor, Marty Feldman as Igor is one of the highlights. As I look back upon the film and I look back upon the scenes of the film, he really brings fourth wall almost in the 70s. You know what I mean? And it was refreshing to see as I went back through and I was doing my research how much his Igor just pops out in almost every single scene that he's in.
Right.
There are certain scenes where he just stares directly into the camera and looks at you like, you get it? That's the joke, right?
Or the eyes looking at you.
Yeah, the bug eyes. Like,
you know what I mean?
If I was a tattoo guy, I would get Igor tattoo. That's a trippy visual, that guy. You know what I mean?
There is no way I would get an Igor tattoo.
No, right on the shoulder blade. I jump out the pool and somebody looks at my shoulder like, what is that? That's Igor, dog. Even like his buxom assistant, she hits all of her marks. She's hilarious. His wife, who doesn't let him touch her or kiss her or do anything because it may mess up her hair. I thought that was a funny scene. She was like, "No kisses, darling. The hair." You know, he's like, he can't do anything. He's so starved. You know,
we can't. We'd be remiss without speaking about the Peter Boyle. You know what I mean? Like, for the love of God, Peter Boyle. He was absolutely fantastic.
I mean, his speech at the end.
Unhand that man.
Unhand that man.
Upon second look, it actually reminds me of the smart Professor Hulk.
Yeah, he turns into the professor at the end of the movie.
Yeah, dude, and I was like, that's weird.
That's awesome. The professor before the professor, dude. You know what I mean? And it's all sexual innuendo. It's all, you know what I mean? It's all gags. It's never gross. It's never gross, which I'm surprised, because Mel Brooks used to get gross. You know what I mean? But it was never cheesy. It was never tacky laughs. You know what I mean? They skated just that line. You know what I mean?
This is a film that Mel Brooks didn't write by himself. Do you know who else wrote the screenplay with him?
Educate me.
Gene Wilder.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Gene Wilder's one of the most subtle comedians of his time. Dude.
Yeah, they're playing off each other, and there you go.
Gene Wilder, man. That's one guy. He had a tragic story where he did a Rick Moranis and just kind of disappeared from Hollywood after like the 70s, 80s. He's just like, yeah, I'm done.
After his marriage with
Rita Rudner?
Gilda Radner.
Gilda Radner, sorry. I was thinking of, I don't know why I was thinking about Dan Aykroyd, Danny DeVito's wife. They have very similar names. Yeah, she passed away or something like that, right?
And Wilder donated to which a president's campaign?
70s. What, that would have been Carter?
No, Barack Obama's. Okay.
Oh, that'll. Really?
Yeah.
Is he alive? That doesn't add up.
Yeah.
That doesn't add up.
He's alive.
He was alive back
Really?
then.
Okay. So he retroactively supported Obama's administration from the past?
He was
He's still alive.
Yeah, Wilder died on the 2016.
Oh, he did die in 2016.
Wow.
He
I
donated
forgot about
to
that.
Obama's campaign in 2008.
I thought Wilder had the reason he quit is because he had some kind of Lovecraftian vision of the future and said, I have to give this man my money now. I know he's not born yet.
If I
but
put $1 in the bank now, it will be $1 million.
it will accumulate towards the Obama administration.
Who's this Obama person?
Don't ask questions, just leave his
he
name.
doesn't look like he could be a president.
Wow.
Sorry, folks.
Winter with the lowest of blows. Winter's
That's
going
a
for
de-
blood tonight, Doug.
Wow.
Hashtag hard cuts. Oh, man.
It's a period piece joke.
Period piece joke. Oh, different times. With that, let's talk about this. We've done with all our other films. We've reached this level of the tournament. Is this a movie you show in, those, comedy 101? Is this a movie you show a kid who wants to get into acting? Like, hey, this is how you improv. This is how jokes land. This is comedic timing.
I'm gonna leave the academic part of comedy to winner because I'm not gonna bring that for you.
Okay.
Make me laugh. A couple of times it made me laugh. It's a very well put together film with great writing, fantastic acting, great pacing and timing. It's Frankenstein, so it is a little old and tired, but things like Igor help it out. That's what I could tell you.
Very good. I concur.
Sorry.
Go for it.
I think that it needs to be considered like, if you're going to think about Gene Wilder, you need to think about Young Frankenstein. So if I was going to be in the winter school of comedy sort of bit, and there's like, I mentioned the name Gene Wilder and a student was like, oh, what are some more resources that we could learn more about Gene Wilder? I would go Silver Streak maybe, or
Silver
the
Streak?
one
Yeah.
whichever, the one that they're in prison and they become rodeo clowns for a second. That's
What about Bob?
Stir Crazy, I think.
Oh, Stir Crazy. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, one of those things.
That's a good
And,
one too.
Yeah, and Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein, I think, would be the comedies.
And you'll see.
Mike?
Not a comedy.
World of pure imagination. This is a classic. This is a movie, honestly, before this random select I've never seen, like head to toe. I've always seen bits and pieces of it. I may have seen it when I was a kid because my dad was really into Mel Brooks, but I just didn't remember it. It wasn't my go-to Mel Brooks film, which of course will always be Spaceballs. But this movie surprised me. It kept me laughing. The jokes hit about 70% of the time for me. You know what I mean? Which is a high score for a comedy. I like the camera work. I like the casting. This is just a really solid comedy, dude. I would show kids this today. You know what I mean? And be like, hey, check this out, and see if it makes them laugh. Because, you know what I mean? There's certain types of comedy that's timeless. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain bits of comedy that aren't dated or set to particular pop culture. They're just, it's something's funny to someone in the 20s. It's funny to someone in the 20s.
Same
what I
with
mean?
stories, man. We're dealing with Frankenstein. It's a classic. You know what I mean? Just done with a really good hand.
I like that. On that, I think we could move on into Masterpiece Theater.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We'll be acting out a scene from Young Frankenstein. I will be playing Igor, and Brian will be playing Freddy.
Begin.
Open curtain.
Woo! I'm glad that's over with.
You could say that again.
Yes.
You're just supposed to repeat what you said.
Why?
What's the point of my setup? It's not funny unless you repeat exactly what you said.
I'm not trying to be funny, Igor. Looks at the movie audience.
Repeat it anyway. It's a wonderful cue.
I'm glad that's...
No, that whole thing.
Woo! I'm glad that's over with.
Insane.
Scene. Breaking the fourth wall. Who would win in the fight quick, Igor or Deadpool?
Deadpool.
Why?
Because he's Deadpool.
Oh my God, that's awesome. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's fucking amazing.
That's how much.
MOTN history, dude.
We have to clip that and put it somewhere, man.
I gotta figure
I
that
actually
out.
want that. I want that as a clip, bro.
Somehow in the
I gotta
practice
have
of
it.
acting with each other, we have now.
Finally,
I'm not even
have-
sure it's that. I just think that it's like basic brain time, basic questions, and it's like
Finally,
Dude,
we have
that's
all
amazing.
connected to the drift, and now we can all operate our own
Igor
Jaeger
doesn't
Pacific
even have
Rim
a
style.
gun.
that's amazing synchronicity, right?
Synchronicity. We're drift.
Seriously,
We are drift compatible.
God, I want to hear that.
Oh god, I'm gonna have fun editing this later. That was
Yeah,
great.
all right.
Oh man. Speaking of very good editing, you guys want to talk about Groundhog's Day?
Yeah.
It's directed
Groundhog's
by
Day.
Harold Ramis, 1993.
Great Harold Ramis.
The late Harold Ramis.
Yes.
All right, rip in peace. Rip. What were you doing in 1993? Winter.
I was being born.
From the mouth of babes.
Yeah. I'm now 27.
I have an opinion, man. Brian, what were you doing in 1993?
Starting high school.
Dude. In a weird pseudo-reality, Winter could be your son, dude.
What? Doesn't make any sense.
You just got sunned, Winter. Oh, that last joke got me goofy, got me lightheaded. Anywho, 1993, I was wearing jorts, probably, begging my mom for Pizza Hut pizza and playing with my Jurassic Park T-Rex with the chicken nugget that you can remove from his thigh, where it had the bones. That's what I was probably doing in 1993.
That's funny.
Mommy, I lost my Tyrannosaurus chicken nugget.
You had braces?
No, I just talk like that.
Oh, got it.
My voice changed hard. Like the second I crossed the high school threshold, my voice just dropped. So, yeah, I was like, Mom, my copy of Turtles in Time didn't work.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Sounds like Mort.
I was very amort as a kid. I had a fanny pack full of asthma inhalers. I was that boy. Speaking of time travel, this movie has what they call a causality loop, where their main character, played by the incomparable Bill Murray, lived the same day over and over for countless millennia, it appears, until he found enlightenment.
Winter, how long did you say last week he went on? He was trapped in this loop for?
I thought so. It wasn't me. I thought someone said that he was in there for like a year.
I heard like 1,000 years.
1,000 years?
Something nutty. You know what I mean? You know what, Brian? I'm gonna look this up. You tell us about your thoughts on why Groundhog's Day is Bill Murray's best film.
Groundhog's Day is not Bill Murray's best film.
Thank you.
But it is a absolutely classic, timeless, cute film from the 90s that, is a perfect date night movie theater movie that they used to make back then. I don't think they still make movies like this. At least I surely don't watch them, but they could possibly make them. Was it funny? I think I laughed twice in this, so that's how come it's going to be a very hard one for me this week. I have nothing negative to say about Groundhog's Day, except for the fact that it's the same day over and over again. So, that's all I got for you. I have nothing negative to say. It's a very well-made film.
Apparently, they interviewed Harold Ramis years after this movie came out. And Harold Ramis was being a bit coy with his response on actually how long Bill Murray was stuck in that time loop. And he said very tongue-in-cheek that Bill could have possibly been stuck in that time loop anywhere between 10 years and 10,000 years, is what he was saying.
Oh.
And it really depends on how you perceive time. You know what I mean? So it's like, with numbers like that, it doesn't really matter, I guess. You know what I mean?
It's a long time.
Like he's pretty much outlived the human experience multiple times over, which would make him damn near omnipotent. So I doubt it's 10,000 years. 10 years makes more sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you could get to know all that in 10 years.
Yeah, that's a whole lot. That's way more than 10,000 hours. Winter, did this movie make you laugh?
It had some funny bits in it. It's not a go-to for me, honestly. There's sometimes, I gotta be honest, sometimes some Bill Murray films don't hit me. Like Screw.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it was not. The first time was when I enjoyed it. I'm like, oh, look, it's the lead singer for the New York Dolls. Good. And second time, was like, I don't need to watch this again, folks. I don't know why HBO is making me watch it a second time.
Yeah.
But for Groundhog Day, I don't know. It just doesn't like. It's not one that comes flying off the shelf for me like Caddyshack would.
Caddyshack, Stripes for that
Stripes.
matter.
Meatballs,
dog. Of course, one of our main contenders, Ghostbusters, already in this random select.
Osmosis Jones.
Osmosis. Wait, he was in Osmosis Jones.
Yeah,
Of course, his best role ever is Space Jam, as we all know.
Space Jam. Where is it making?
Wasn't it Zombieland though?
That's it. That's what he won the Oscar for.
But he has one of my every time I watch. So he's in a scene there that I really enjoy where he's about to die, and he goes and someone asks do you have any regrets? And he goes,
Garfield. Yeah, that's exactly what you're talking about. Because they accidentally blasted him because this idiot came out in full zombie makeup during a zombie apocalypse. Because he thought it would be funny. Groundhog's Day, man. I watched it again very recently in between these last few random selects. And like you said, it just doesn't hit as hard as it did rewatching it for the first time in a long time. A lot of the jokes are dry and very Bill Murray. It's his show. So the supporting cast doesn't really have a lot to do. You know what I mean? In regards to Andy McDowell, is that her name? His love interest.
Yeah.
She's very quirky, and I think
she's fantastic.
She's fantastic in this film. She's very cute. She's very quirky. She's she's hanging in there with him on every scene. I could tell she's ad-libbing right there. But the rest of the cast really are stuck in their own time loops, really. You know what I mean? There's no other form of growth outside of those two characters. And her growth is even stagnant because you're just learning more about her, and she's not growing with Bill Murray, who's the man out of time. He's pretty much in that Twilight Zone episode where the guy has the clock that could stop time, and he breaks it. Mm-hmm. He breaks it inside of the safe and freaks out, and you know what I mean. So his supporting cast is not that strong. I guess is what I try. I mean, Chris Elliott's great in this movie too. I'm not going to take anything.
Shout out to Chris Ellie.
Shout out to Chrissy E. But even he is stagnant because his character is not given any real plot growth or plot development. You know what I mean? It's really Bill Murray's show to make or break. And like you said, Winter, not all Bill Murray hits. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's varying degrees of it hitting hard. Like I would prefer watching Lost in Translation over this in a weird way.
Yeah. Well, it's almost to the point of, I would say that he falls in the category of needing to have an ensemble cast. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I enjoyed him in Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Yeah, but there's like other people
with
holding
him.
the lantern. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like holding the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like David Spade. It's like David Spade and Chris Farley, right? Chris Farley could hold a movie all to himself, right? Chris Farley could definitely power through a movie like a Black Sheep or a Tommy's Boy, but David Spade is never Beverly Hills Ninja. You know what I'm saying? But David Spade, though funny, he's never been the kind of comedian that can really hold a movie all to himself. Outside of Joe Dirt, which I will fight anyone. Joe Dirt's amazing, but outside of that, he's never really had that kind of chops. Where Bill Murray, like Dan Aykroyd, really can't maneuver just by themselves.
Dan Aykroyd's something else. Like
we can do a whole random select about Dan Aykroyd. Actually,
honestly, I'm almost physically offended you just compared David Spade to Bill Murray. But we're gonna
he did it, not me.
we're gonna move on from that. And I kind of want to fight you in that, Winner. But you know what?
I did say it.
I'm not going to. When you're little, he can't hold a movie like freaking.
I said that, yeah.
I mean, it's rare. I'm not saying every movie that he solos in, he knocks out the park. That's all I'm saying.
I just no. You compared him to David Spade.
That's a whole different argument.
That's where I'm taking issue with you.
That's a whole different
Joe
argument.
Dirt is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on. Wow. So, yeah.
You take the Joe Dirt out of the hole.
God.
I mean, I like Bill Murray more than David Spade. Let's just get.
Well,
that.
just get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Of course,
it's not even like
I do.
It's not even a competition.
It's not a competition because I'm not comparing David Spade to Bill Murray. I'm comparing.
I like
I'm comparing Chris Farley to.
I like the ethos
David
of
Spade.
Bill Murray. The ethos
I like the idea of Bill Murray.
The zeitgeist.
I like the zeitgeist that surrounds Bill Murray.
I like how anyone could call the number that he had.
I like that he worked at an airport Chili's for no reason. All I'm saying is that in the great collection of Bill Murray classics, this is kind of dead center for me. It's not on the higher end of the spectrum. Mind you, this movie's, like you said, is cute. This is a good holiday movie. I could watch this with Home Alone and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and it just fits right in with that kind of niche. But am I like sitting people down to watch Groundhog's Day like I would other movies? Not necessarily.
Well, you know what? That's a valid question. If someone came up to you and said, "I have never seen Groundhog's Day," would you tell them to pass this movie?
No, not at all. This is a great movie. I think it's a great comedy. It's a great movie. I would never say, "Oh, save your time with that one." No, because it's still Bill Murray.
As a movie, it's a very well made movie for what it is. Think about Lifetime Network, man, and I don't know a lot of Lifetime Network, but I'm sure here in 2012, if someone had put this on Lifetime, we all could have been like, "All right, yeah, that'll work."
The way my brain's working, it is like comparing Michael Jordan championship runs there were some runs that were stronger than the other, right?
Oh, you finally caught up with
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah,
Don't get me started on that.
Good stuff.
That's a whole
buddy.
other podcast, my dude.
Anyway, moving on.
My chief. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all of Jordan's championship runs were amazing, but there were some that were more impressive than others. Like the flu game, of course, the most impossible thing ever. But other championship runs weren't that impressive. Comparing Bill Murray in a vacuum with all of his body of work, Groundhog's Day is dead center. But if you compare it to film in general, it's a great film, because it is a great film. And I would show it to anyone, and I love the editing in this movie.
All right, I just want to clarify.
100%. Like, yeah, I love this movie. That's why I got out of the last round, because it's an impressive film. You know what I mean? It's just Winter kind of serenaded me with his siren song of it not being his strongest work.
Winter was barely born in '93, so you know, whatever.
Yeah,
anyway,
I'm not. Yeah,
I'm gonna
like
respect
I said,
Winter's opinion, but I'm also gonna be like, you know,
Caddyshack's better.
Caddyshack is better, but that's not the question. Caddyshack is not in this random select.
That's the question that I answered. Next call.
I
on what he said. When you look back at his films, they are all ensemble films.
They are.
Exception of like Lost in Translation, which you could say is his film, and he did like.
Scarlett Johansson was in that. You know, Scarlett Johansson was in that, though. Oscar nominated Scarlett Johansson, dog. You know, so
why is this happening to me?
Even Caddyshack had Chevy Chase, dog. You know?
Don't make me do things I don't want to do.
I don't want you coming to my house with real life knife fights.
Like seriously, man.
real hashtag hard cuts. I'm just saying that Bill Murray is he's a team player. He's an SNL vet, and he plays better with others. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Star Wars. You know, he's not Eddie Murphy. He's you know he's a Belushi, dog.
He's not a Belushi, but
he's an honorary Belushi.
He's not an honorary Belushi.
If he went to the Belushi house,
John
right?
Goodman's an honorary Belushi.
No, if I'm pretty sure that if Bill Murray showed up to the Belushi house on Thanksgiving, he can get a plate. I'm just saying.
Depends which house he's going to.
I mean, if he's going to Jim Belushi's house, maybe he'll get cut. Anyhow.
Love the courting the gym, by the way, just as an FYI. Great.
Cheryl!
Cheryl!
I might actually watch that tonight. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Anyway.
Anywho. Let's aim baby. And you make the great question. I would like for the rest of us to answer this question. If someone said, hey, I got a copy of Groundhog's Day, or Groundhog's Day is on Netflix, should I watch it? Winter, would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, if you haven't seen it yet, I would definitely watch it.
Okay.
And Brian, would you recommend this movie?
Yes, that's what, if you've never seen it, would you watch it? Is a different question that we're asking in regards to this knife fight. You know what I mean?
He's cutting through my political answers. my politician.
Stop softballing these questions, Winter. Neither of us are.
No, I'm just saying we're gonna get to the knife fight.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, I think about the children.
I'm saving my opinion. I'm saving my harder opinions.
You guys had kind of disrespected Bill Murray about 5 minutes ago, and I felt step up and like put on the Chicago shield and like stand up for the dude because it can be a little bit of nonsense. But I just want to say,
we're not knocking
if you had never seen the film, would you recommend it to someone to watch?
All I'm saying is Bill Murray is Scottie Pippen.
Fair enough.
That's all I'm saying. Man. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, if you want to do a review of that, I'm in on it.
That's a MOTN reviews.
That's great.
In the making. On that note, I say we move on to some MOTN Masterpiece Theater, shall we?
To break this down, Mike G will be doing all the scene narration. Buster and Larry will be played by Brian, and I will be playing the rest of the characters. Okay. Open curtain.
There, little fellow.
Hi there, mister. Something I could do for you?
Without a word, Phil jumps quickly into the cab of the pickup and starts it up.
Hey, what you're... Larry!
Buster and his aides race to another car parked nearby.
Jake, call the police and get the word out. Somebody kidnapped Phil. We're going to go after him. Come on, Tommy.
They jump into the car. Buster guns the engine and takes off after the pickup. Rita runs up to Larry and grabs the camera on the fly.
Let's go! Phil just snatched the groundhog!
Probably some kind of gerbil deal, pervert.
Yeah, insane.
Will Richard Gere ever live that down?
What? You brought that up yourself, okay?
It was a line in the... They just literally did a reference to that right now.
Right?
So my question is, will he ever live it down?
My question is, why did you have to bring Richard Gere into it?
Because they just did a gerbil reference, and the only person who's
you
ever
just
had...
can't help yourself, huh?
I'm just working with what I got, my good man.
Yeah, it sounds like you.
I have
Mr.
no
Gere
idea
apology.
what you're talking about.
Oh,
You know,
Mr. Gere
Richard
put
Gere-
a gerbil up his butt, but
Yep.
I think
There's a whole South Park episode about it.
allegedly,
I've seen the episode. I didn't realize it was a real thing.
It's an alleged
Allegedly.
urban legend.
All
Urban
right.
legend.
Well,
Allegedly.
Yeah.
sure,
Different
plenty of people do.
Hey, humans have been around for a long time, man.
You're way too relaxed about that.
As Brian dips a gerbil in Crisco grease.
No. It's more of like it's 2020,
Hey,
man. Everything's
Hey, it's 2020, bro. It's just how it is nowadays.
people marrying computers and
I don't throw stones, man. We're in quarantine.
Elon Musk made a kid out of old PlayStations, man. We don't.
That's funny.
leave the man alone.
I would never. You know what's time for? And I've been chomping at the bit with this episode. It's time for some knife fights, guys.
Knife fights.
It's time for some hashtag hard cuts. It's time for arguments to be had. Is this an argument? I don't know. We're going to start with Winter. Winter, Trash Monk the 3rd, Young Frankenstein,
Out of these two, I think,
Groundhog Day.
flat right off the bat, I think it's going to be obvious that I choose Young Frankenstein of the two, and here is why. Do I think that it's a decent Bill Murray film? Yes. It's also in the pantheon of these are movies that people think of when they think of Bill Murray, but it is not I would go Ghostbusters or Caddyshack or some other film of Bill Murray to put in my school of comedy. While Young Frankenstein is that movie for Gene Wilder. It is the one of the top 3 I would put. So, and I laughed more in Young Frankenstein than I did with Groundhog Day, and it could just be the comedy. I like Young Frankenstein comedy more. That's about it.
Brian, what dog you got in this fight?
This has been a rough one, man. They are both equally on the same footing for me. They're both, I laughed twice once, 3 times with the other. I mean, whatever. There. They're both very well-made films. Both scripts hit. Both cast hits. Weaknesses, Groundhog's Day, repeated theme. That's the weakest part of the movie is, it's the same damn day. Whereas Young Frankenstein, it's Frankenstein, so you kind of know what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, as I was going back through these, and it's been a couple of weeks now, that I've been thinking about this, and it really hasn't gotten easier. Till just this evening, I was able to make a difference in the two. And the difference in the two for me is going to be Igor.
Igor.
I'm picking Young Frankenstein.
Ooh, that was a surprise. I could have sure I had you pegged for Groundhog, my man.
No.
No.
That's what you get for assuming. That's what you get for assuming.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry I made an ass of all of us.
Not of me.
Yeah,
History will side with me on this one.
History sides with the winners, I guess.
The winters, yes.
The winter of our discontents.
There you go.
Like it. I like it. Well, 2 out of 3. So Young Frankenstein is going to the finals. To fight up against Ghostbusters.
Who are you going to vote for?
And absolutely. So I was actually. Oh, no worries. Absolutely. I was definitely wanted to kind of talk about that. Both of these movies, Young Frankenstein and Groundhog's Day, both hit middle of the pack when it comes to their respective lead actors. You know, to me personally, Young Frankenstein is a middle of the pack movie for Gene Wilder, and Groundhog Day is a middle of the pack movie for Bill Murray. They have better, they have worse films, but as Brian mentioned, it's Igor, as Winter mentioned, it's just funnier. So I was gonna go with Young Frankenstein. It's just a funnier movie.
Wow,
it's the
knockout, man.
Second round KO, man. Cannabis on the floor.
Cannabis on the floor.
I'm gonna let the world know the truth. You don't want me to shine. You study my rhyme, but then you lay your vocals right behind. That's a bitch move. You know, cannabis. Anyway,
see, you're more connected than Elon than you want to.
He's my dad. I have the computer chips to prove it. It's a.
I thought your name wasn't Mike.
it's Mike, but the I is a 1.
Okay, I keep interrupting you.
It's totally fine. I mean, I'm interruptible. Young Frankenstein, dude. It's a funnier film. I had more of a kick watching it. This is the movie I would sit down in front of the family, you know, to have a good time and watch, and everybody laughs at their own individual things that makes them laugh. Gene Wilder in his prime, I would say, just classic storytelling, classic filmmaking, classic timing. Even though Groundhog's Day is edited within an inch of its life, that movie has such great editing, but so does Young Frankenstein.
They are very, very, very similar movies when you're talking about comedy movies to watch on a Saturday afternoon and what you're going to get out of them.
Yep.
Young Frankenstein's also a date movie too, if you want to watch it. Like it could also pass. It's just of a different time, but not by much.
The thing is like, and what's really separates it, like I'm drawing or I'm cleaning up the house and Groundhog's Day is on, I may not laugh once. I may be so occupied with what I'm doing. It's just on in the background, right? Uh-huh. But I can promise you, if I'm cleaning up the house, working on something, and Young Frankenstein is on, I'm gonna look at the screen at least once and chuckle. Oh, that's dumb. You know what I mean? That got me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the side of a good comedy. It doesn't need to command your attention to pull that laugh out of you whenever you happen to look at it. That's a strong sign of a good comedy to me.
Well, I mean, there you have it, man. Knife fight, quick. I wasn't really quite expecting
a sweep.
For a sweep.
A sweep. I wasn't either.
I do want to say, I think it's ironic about our earlier conversation because we now get to see Bill Murray come back with his ensemble.
There you go.
He gets knocked. Bill Murray gets rattled in the 3rd round and comes back with the hook, dude.
No, he becomes a ghost. Comes back with the Busters.
Dude, he brings his big brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is the final, right?
This is the final, man.
This is the final. It is 1984's Ghostbusters versus 1974's Young Frankenstein. honestly, I'm the biggest Ghostbusters mark in the world, but I don't know how this is going to go.
Well, I'm the biggest young Frankenstein.
Fight.
There you go, knife fight, dude. I don't
fight, man.
I put nothing past my own judgment after Things from Another World. I put nothing past, because in the moment I could be like, you know what, it's Young Frankenstein. Just totally abandon all that nostalgia if it's just the better movie. So I think this is going to be one for the ages. This MOTN final is going to be one for the ages.
It's not the better movie. It's the better comedy. The better comedy movie.
You gotta laugh. You gotta laugh, guard.
I mean, if you enjoy that type of thing.
I don't know why that's so funny.
Gotta love the Eeyore of our group. Hi, guys. I don't laugh sometimes.
No, remember that it was Mike that called you the Eeyore of the group.
Eeyore.
I like Eeyore. He was my favorite of the Pooh characters. So that's absolutely fine.
See? Apt. It wasn't an insult. It was a compliment.
I'll take that. Eeyore's left alone, man.
Yeah. I like Christopher Robin. He controls everything.
I do like Pooh.
Cut that out. Cut that out, folks.
I'm not cutting out. I'm not cutting it out. I'm not cutting it out. Because I had I had a comment that I had to bite my lip because I wanted to say something.
Dude.
Okay, Massa.
What? Oh, Christopher Robin, I got you.
I'm more of a Tigger guy, but I'm sure that's apparent. I like Tigger.
No, Tigger to me was always a tad bit too hype. You don't
Tigger.
me as that type of hyper man. Tigger's like the dude you need to put down. You're like
Tigger needs to be laid down.
Like seriously, man, can you get him a sedative?
I don't know, man. I think I've relaxed now that I'm in kind of my mid-30s. But 25-year-old Mike G
jumping around.
It's pretty lit. It was a sight to behold, my man.
That's why I'm an Eeyore fan.
Hey, man, at it, dude.
We gotta hurry this up.
Who's your favorite winner?
It was Christopher Robin.
He controls everything.
Because he controls everything. He keeps an eye on the 100-acre wood.
We're looking. Sure. Well, they're all powered by his imagination, right? Is that the
kinda?
Just okay.
I didn't see the movie
or any of the 50, 60 years of content.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's all powered by his mind. So,
well, Kingdom Hearts tells us
a Lost scenario.
I go by the Kingdom Hearts lore. That's all. Yeah. That's my choice. Winnie the Pooh content.
I will give you future resellers a little tip out there. If you find something that says Winnie the Pooh on it, it will sell for money.
For other reasons, though.
Why are these Winnie the Pooh shirts selling like hotcakes in China?
I don't know. It's crazy. They just really love the Pooh Bear. I love honey. Where can we find you, Brian?
You can find me on Twitter at Brian J. Wash and on eBay at Wash's Shop.
I'm never letting this bit go. Brian, what is your premier item for the week?
This week, my premier item is actually going to end up being something very special, Mike. It is a baseball magazine. So if you are looking for baseball magazines, come on over. I got something for you.
There you go.
Put me in, Coach.
Beckett Baseball Card Monthly with Jose Canseco.
Jose Canseco. Coach. Put me in, Coach. I was thinking of that song in my brain. In the field.
Center field.
That's what I'm talking about. Where can we find you, winner?
You can find me on all your favorite social media besides TikTok. Trashbunk the Third, Trashbunk I.
He's never on TikTok, guys. He needs to make that
yet.
very specific.
I really am considering it, folks, to join TikTok, but I don't know
all types of stuff. Have you seen Jason Derulo's TikTok? It's like a industrial lights and magic, dude. You can do anything on TikTok.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I don't got time for that.
Winter's like Winter's like Hideki Kamiya. He's like he's like what's the Metal Gear Solid director? Kojima, Hideo Kojima.
You're on your own.
Kojima. Yeah, man.
Untethered Winter is a dangerous thing, dude. You can't give Winter too much creativity and money. You don't know
Dude, Winter is coming. There's a reason the phrase lives.
Winter is literally going to make the new age Akira. This is going to be the craziest movie anyone's ever seen. It's going to be mind-boggling. There's going to be whales in the sky that spew Mountain Dew from their
what?
From their little, saliva pits in their mouths, dude. They're going to bleed Mountain Dew. If you like this content and you want to support it monetarily, you can always visit our Patreon, which is patreon.com/MOTN. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can always join us on Twitter, which is @MNerdiverse, where we do fun things like have polls, and Mike G posts about Aphex Twin all day. So if you wanted to check out our poll for this episode, and I'm going to ask the question to the Nerdiverse, which is the better film? Is it Groundhog's Day, or is it going to be Young Frankenstein? Do the kids know what Young Frankenstein is? I'm sure they don't know. If they, either way, we're going to get a vote going. We're going to see which is the People's Choice winner amongst those two films. And if you always want to support us non-monetarily, you could do so by liking our content, by subscribing to our channels, and by commenting on our episodes, because feedback is important. I once again want to thank you two for joining me on this journey.
Thanks for having me.
You know what I mean?
You.
You're welcome, of this comedic enlightenment. And if this is your first time listening, I would like to thank you for listening and say welcome to the Nerdiverse. I've, of course, been your host, Mike G. And I'll always ask you to make those #hard cuts. #hard cuts.